Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this year's final episode of The Shadow, the mystery man who strikes terror into the very hearts of sharpsters, lawbreakers, and criminals. This recreation series is to continue the Shadow's demonstration to old and young alike that crime does not pay. Lamont Cranston, a man of wealth, a student of science, and master of other people's minds, devotes his life to righting wrongs, solving crimes, protecting the innocent, and punishing the guilty. Using advanced methods that may ultimately become available to all law enforcement agencies, Cranston is known to the underworld as the Shadow. Never seen, only heard, as haunting to superstitious minds as a ghost, as inevitable as a guilty conscience. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margot Lane, is the only person to know who the invisible voice belongs to. Today's drama, the case of the River of Eternal Woe. This morning, Lamont Cranston and his friend Margot Lane are at the edge of a curious, excited crowd gathered near Pier 78 at the riverfront. Now, amidst the noise of police cars, reporters, and ambulances, Margot says,
Lamont, I wouldn't for all the world sound callous, but just what is this all about?
Look, Margot, I think they're bringing up the body now. So, what'd you say?
I said, darling, it's perfectly all right to be dragged out of a sound sleep at the crack of dawn this way. And I love watching policemen take bodies out of the river.
You do?
Only it'd be a lot more fun if I knew what this is all about. After all, Lamont, they found people in this river before.
I know, darling, but they haven't found Mathilda Redfield before. And unless I missed a tip, that's the old girl now.
Redfield. Oh.
Oh, is right. She's the one who disappeared 3 days ago. The papers have been full of it. Say, she's beautiful, isn't she?
Lamont, don't be sordid.
No, I mean the niece. At least I think that's the niece. The one going over toward Commissioner Weston?
Oh, yes. I remember her picture in the paper.
Oh, Miss Redfield. Miss Redfield, if you... Lamont Cranston.
Good morning, Commissioner. Fishing this morning?
I might have known you'd show up. Good morning, Miss Lane.
Top of the morning to you, Commissioner.
Well, Cranston, if you've come for any excitement, you're too late. We just brought the body up.
Mathilda Redfield?
Yeah, the old dame who disappeared from that hotel up the river.
Anything interesting, Commissioner?
Nah, not a mark on her that I can see.
Suicide?
Looks that way. I'll have the medical examiner go over her downtown. Oh, Miss Redfield.
Commissioner,
I'm sorry you had to see this, Miss Redfield. It is your aunt, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, this is Miss Lane, Miss Redfield, and Mr. Cranston.
How do you do?
Commissioner Weston, this is horrible. Horrible,
Now, Miss Redfield, at least now you know. You positively identify the body, do you?
It's Aunt Mathilda, all right. But...
Well, then I think what you'd better do is get some rest, Miss Redfield. If you'll come down to headquarters, say about noon, we'll take care of the paperwork down there.
Paperwork?
The Commissioner means it's only a routine matter, Miss Redfield. Your aunt will have to be taken from here to the city's examiner office.
Excuse me, I'll see what the men are doing. Sorry, Cranston. Looks like you got out of bed for nothing.
I don't understand. The shock, it's all so horrible.
Of course, Miss Redfield. We understand.
We have my car, Miss Redfield. Could Miss Lane and I drive you someplace?
But...
It would be better, my dear. There's nothing you can do here at all.
But you don't understand! The Commissioner! Those police! Why? They think Mathilda committed suicide!
And you don't, Miss Redfield?
Oh no, she couldn't have done that!
Tell me, Miss Redfield, did your aunt wear expensive jewelry? A bracelet, perhaps?
How did you know that?
I watched you identify the body, my dear. And the first thing you did was roll back the torn sleeve and look at their aunt's wrist.
But...
A rather curious way to identify a body, don't you think? Come along, Miss Redfield. I really think we ought to drive you home. Go on, Muriel. Miss Lane and I have all the time in the world.
It's just the way I said, Mr. Cranston. Mathilda lived alone at the Hotel Acheron. It's just outside the city on the river.
She was wealthy then?
What?
Miss Lane means the hotel is exclusive. You'll have to be fairly well off to afford it.
Yes, it's that kind of place. Mostly women who, well, live there the year round. They all have money, I guess. My aunt had a great deal.
And a diamond bracelet.
That's what makes me sure the police are wrong. Mr. Cranston, she always wore that bracelet. It was worth nearly $200,000.
Whew!
She had it made about 10 years ago. She took stones from earrings and necklaces, all sorts of gems. It was the most beautiful bracelet I've ever seen.
And now it's gone.
It wasn't on her wrist. It couldn't have fallen off. Mr. Cranston, it locked on.
You're sure it's not in her room, Muriel? At the Hotel Acheron, I mean?
But it wouldn't be. I looked, of course, when they told me she disappeared. The hotel manager, Mr. Hines, and we searched her room thoroughly. It's just not there.
You live at the hotel too, Muriel?
No, I don't. I have a small apartment in town.
I see. You didn't happen to be with your aunt the day she disappeared?
No, I wasn't. I hadn't seen her in some time. I've been quite busy. You see, I have a friend in the army, going overseas soon. And, well, I just haven't seen Aunt Mathilda in several weeks.
Well, Lamont?
Bracelets interest me, Margot. Feel like a little deluxe living?
What?
Ackeron. It's a strange name for a hotel.
Strange, Mr. Cranston? Why?
Oh, nothing really. It's just a mythological term, I believe. Ancient Greek or something like that. It means a god of the river of eternal woe.
This is the porch, Mr. Cranston. Aunt Mathilda spent so much time out here in the nice weather. She loved to play bridge with the other ladies.
Miss Redfield.
Oh, Mr. Hines!
I heard the news, my dear. They found your dear aunt's body. It was on the radio about half an hour ago.
Yes, they found her. She was all the way down to...
Now, we just won't talk about it. Though, I can't understand how a body could float all the way from here way down to the piers. Why, it must be 10 miles.
If the body did float down, Mr. Hines.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, Mr. Hines, this is Mr. Cranston. Mr. Lamont Cranston. Mr. Hines is the hotel manager.
How do you do?
Mr. Cranston?
And this is Miss Lane, Mr. Hines.
How do you do?
Muriel, my child.
Mrs. Haverson.
I just heard, my dear. The noon editions are out, see? I was just reading about it here in the paper. Oh, my poor dear, my poor dear.
These are some friends of mine, Mrs. Haverson. Miss Lane and Mr. Cranston.
Mrs.
Haverson,
Haverson.
how do you do?
How do you do?
My aunt and Mrs. Haverson have lived here for years, you see.
This terrible, terrible tragedy. Why would Mathilda want to take her own life? Why? I just can't get over it. Why, the very day she did it, we had our afternoon bridge, the same as always. How she loved to play cards. Why? Oh, why'd she do a thing like this?
Perhaps she didn't, Mrs. Haverson. The police report isn't ready yet, you know, and perhaps it wasn't suicide at all.
What?
We just don't know. Do we, Muriel?
We don't know. You see, we...
Mr. Hines, telephone, sir.
What? Oh, thank you, Warner. I'll take it over here.
I'm sorry about your aunt, Miss Redfield. She was always very nice to me.
Thank you, Warner. Mr. Reed is the desk clerk, Mr. Cranston.
I see.
We wouldn't know what to do without Warner, would we, my boy?
I hope not, Mrs. Haverson.
Miss Redfield!
Yes, Mr. Hines?
Why, that was the police. Some man named Weston, Commissioner Weston.
What did he want?
He said for Miss Redfield to stay right here. He was on his way out here. He sounded excited, Miss Redfield. He said he'd be here right away.
We'll return to the shadow in just a moment. But first, be sure to stay tuned at the end of this episode and listen to a very important message from the Recreation series creator, Spencer Mack. And now, back to the shadow and the case of the River of Eternal Woe.
All right, Lamont. You and Miss Lane might as well hear this. Oh, is that door closed?
It's all right, Commissioner. The guests are all out on the porch.
Muriel, dear,
Dan, don't. You don't have to talk. Dan, don't say a word.
But I want to talk, darling. I have nothing to hide.
Oh, no? All right, then, suppose I tell it. And get this, Cranston, it's good.
I'm listening, Commissioner.
So am I.
We get the body downtown, see? And what do you think we find? A letter. All as nice as you please. Even has this soldier's return address on it, so we can just hop over to his camp in Long Island and pick him up.
Dan, no!
It's all right, Muriel. I admit I wrote her the letter. I told you about it the same night.
What letter, soldier? What did you say?
I've got it, Cranston. Here it is. From Private Dan Burke to Mathilda Redfield. Addressed right here to the hotel. Yeah, and delivered the same day the old lady disappeared, too.
Go on, Commissioner. Read it.
It's short enough. Here, listen to this. You've made trouble enough for Muriel. Now that we're married, I warn you, leave us alone. If you make trouble now, I promise you, I won't be responsible for what happens. Signed, Dan Burke.
Married?
Sure we're married. Muriel's aunt didn't approve of me. That's why I wrote her. She was threatening to break up our marriage.
Muriel, my dear.
Yes?
This is the friend you mentioned so casually. Your own husband?
Oh, please, I know I should have told you, but...
And that ain't all, Cranston. Not only does the soldier here admit writing the letter, he can't explain where he was the night the old lady disappeared. He was out on a 10-day pass. Just got back to his camp yesterday.
Is that true, Dan?
Dan, don't! He was with me. Oh, I swear it, he was with me the whole day and night.
Muriel.
Excuse me, there is a telephone message for... you!
Go on, Mr. Hines.
Why, that soldier! That's the man I threw off the property.
When? When was this?
Mr. Hines, no!
Why, I caught him prowling around the yard the night Mathilda Redfield disappeared. Yes, sir, the very night she disappeared.
Find anything, Margot?
Not a thing, Lamont. Just Matilda's clothes. Things like that.
Well, she had a pleasant room anyway. There's a view of the river from this window.
Ackeron. The river of eternal woe. Lamont?
Yes?
You don't think Dan Burke killed her, do you?
Oh, Weston had reasons enough to hold him, Margot. The boy obviously threatened Mathilda in that letter.
And certainly Muriel was covering up for him. He wasn't with her that night at all.
And she covered up their marriage. Or tried to.
But you don't think he killed the old lady?
Why,
That's funny.
The manager knows we're up here, Margot. I told them I'd like to search the room. Hello?
Mr. Cranston?
Yes, Muriel? What is it?
I'm in the lobby, Mr. Cranston. Will you come right down, please?
Why, yes. What is it?
My aunt was murdered. Mr. Cranston, I'm sure of it now.
Muriel, listen.
You see,
Muriel? Miss Redfield?
Lamont, what's happened?
Come on, Margot. We gotta get down to that lobby fast.
Why, no, Mr. Cranston. I didn't notice anything unusual. Miss Redfield made a call from the booth just now, and then she walked out toward the porch, I think.
But she didn't. I tell you,
Something the matter, Mr. Cranston?
It's Miss Redfield, Mr. Hines. Mr. Cranston seems to think she's disappeared.
What?
No, never mind. Perhaps I was mistaken.
Where is she, Warner? She didn't go down to headquarters with her husband, I know.
No, sir. She stayed here. She just made a phone call, and then when she was through, she walked out on the porch.
Probably wants to be alone, Mr. Cranston. You know how women feel at a time like this.
Yes, I'm sure that's it.
Oh, Mr. Hines, Oh, Mr. Cranston and Miss Lane. Do excuse me, you know, I can't see a thing without my glasses. Oh, here they are. You're still here, I see.
We thought we ought to be near Miss Redfield, Mrs. Haverson. She's so upset.
Of course, poor child, of course. I do want to talk to her later on. At a time like this, I wouldn't dream of bringing it up, but poor dear Mathilda had that lovely bracelet. I was wondering if Muriel would think of selling it.
You admired the bracelet, Mrs. Haverson?
Mathilda's? Oh my, we all did. I declare I never saw such stones. Never.
Out of my way, please. Lamont!
Well, Commissioner Weston.
Cranston, that soldier, he got away.
What?
got away, Commissioner? How do you mean?
Why, he's an MP. You know, a military police. On the way down to the station, he pulled his gun on my men in the car and simply escaped.
I knew it! I knew he was a killer!
If I were you, Commissioner, I'd keep this quiet.
What?
When you arrest an MP, Commissioner, you really ought to take away his gun.
I'm delighted that you stayed for dinner, Miss Lane, Mr. Cranston. Even at a time like this, the inner man must be fed, you know.
And it's delicious, Mr. Hines. It was kind of you to invite us.
The pleasure is mine. Oh, will you excuse me? I see Warner motioning at the desk.
Of course, Mr. Hines.
Enjoy yourselves. I won't be a moment. Did you get a nice cut of lamb, Mrs. Haverson?
Lamont?
I know, Margot.
But Muriel! Lamont, where is she?
I don't know, Margot, but I've got an idea where she's going to be.
What?
When we sat down to dinner, I found this note under my plate.
A note?
Shh. It tells me to get out of here if I don't want something to happen to Muriel.
Oh, Lamont, no!
Whoever wrote this was exact enough, Margot. It says if we're not gone in an hour, Muriel will be dead.
An hour?
Yes, and by that time, it'll be quite dark. Feel like any dessert?
Oh, no.
Good. Well, you have a look at this river. Mathilda met her death in it. Seems Muriel might end up there too.
Lamont, it's so dark. I can't see a thing.
It's all right, Margot. Keep going. The boathouse is just ahead.
Yes, but... Lamont!
Here now.
Margot, are you all right?
Land's sake, screaming that way. Who are you, anyhow?
I'm all right, Lamont. I just bumped into this man in the dark.
Come on now. Who are you? What are you doing down here by the river?
Well, if you take that light out of our eyes, my friend, we'll tell you.
Well, fess up now.
You're...
I'm the watchman, that's who I am. And I don't remember you two as none of the guests.
The watchman?
Murders, police, everybody all on edge. You gave me a start, young lady. Now come along, both of you. We'll go up to the hotel and... Good lands, now what was that?
Margot, come on. That's a police whistle.
Those shots, Lamont, they came from up near the hotel.
I know. Hurry, Margot.
Wait for me! I'm the watchman here! Wait for me!
All right, Burke. This time I've got you. Now just stay right where you are.
Listen.
Not a word out of you, soldier. You got away from us once. This time you're done for. Stand back, Mr. Hines.
I didn't mean to shoot, Commissioner. I saw someone in the bushes. When I called out and he ran, I shot. That's all.
Well, it's all right. Just got him in the leg. Yes, and no more than what's coming to you, Burke.
Weston. Commissioner. What happened?
Well, Cranston, looks like the show's over. Mr. Hines here found our runaway soldier boy.
What?
He was in those bushes, Mr. Cranston. When he wouldn't stop, I fired at him.
Look, I swear I didn't do anything wrong. I came back to find my wife. You've got to tell me where she is.
Nothing wrong. Listen, soldier, you broke away from police custody at the point of a gun. You were caught prowling here tonight. And what's more, young man, I'm booking you for the murder of Mathilda Redfield. Now come on, we're taking you downtown.
But Lamont...
It's all right, Margot. Looks to me like Commissioner Weston has solved the case.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, Cranston. For once you admit it.
Yeah, definitely, Commissioner. In fact, Margot and I will jump in my car and meet you downtown. We'd like to be there when the boy confesses.
But Lamont...
Come along, Margot. It looks like our Commissioner Weston has done it again.
Lamont Cranston, what in the world are you thinking of? We can't go down to headquarters. What about Muriel?
In other words, Margot, you hardly think the soldier was holding his own wife.
Well, certainly.
Exactly. We're not going down to headquarters. Matter of fact, this is just about where I get out.
Here? At the river?
Look, Margot. See that dam up ahead?
Why, yes.
A body can't float over that dam, Margot. If someone were murdered, for instance, back here on this side, say, at that boathouse back at the hotel.
Yes?
The body couldn't float all the way down to the river into town, right?
Lamont, of course. Then Mrs. Redfield was killed on the other side of the dam.
Not necessarily, Margot. She might have been lifted over the dam. you know?
What?
If someone were going to murder Muriel in the same way in 8 minutes, according to their warning...
Yes?
They could do it at the hotel, couldn't they? Murder her there, then put the body in a boat, row her down to the dam, and lift it over. Then she'd float down right into town, just like Aunt Mathilda.
Lamont, how horrible! You've got to do something!
And in 8 minutes, too. Well, this time, Margot, I think we'll let our old friend the Shadow handle things.
Yes, but...
Now look, you go to a phone down the road at that filling station and call Commissioner Weston's office. Understand?
Yes, Lamont. Go on.
Tell them the Commissioner must be on that dam in, 15 minutes. Make that plain, Margot. They'll intercept him on radio on his way down to headquarters with Dan Burke.
On the dam in 15 minutes.
Right. And then hang up. Don't tell them who you are, and I'll meet you back at the spot. Oh, and see if you can find a towel, will you?
A towel? What for?
I have an idea, Margot. That the Shadow might go for a swim.
Who's there?
Why, Fred.
Oh, it's you, Mrs. Haverson. Gave me quite a scare.
It's such a lovely night. I was walking by the river, Fred.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just all a jitter, I guess. Mrs. Redfield at all.
Poor Mathilda. We'll miss her so.
I'm just all a jitter, Mrs. Haverson. Why, just now before you came along, I was making my rounds here on the boathouse pier, and I could have sworn I heard footsteps behind me.
What?
Just my nerves, I guess. Enjoy your walk, Mrs. Haverson.
Thank you, Fred. I will. Now! All right, Muriel, come out of there. Oh, did I forget to take that nasty old handkerchief out of your mouth, my dear? What a pity. Well, no matter. I'll do the talking, my child. Now come on! This is a gun, Muriel, and I warn you, I know how to use it. Step out here, Muriel. Out here to the edge of the pier. That's right. Now don't move, you hear me? Now we'll see if everything's ready. Warner, are you down there?
In the boat, come on.
Bring it around to the side, Warner. I've got her all ready.
Hurry up. That watchman will be coming back any minute.
You heard Mr. Reed, Muriel. Get into the boat. Get in!
Careful, it's leaning to one side.
Get going, Warner. She's in.
It's leaning to one side, I tell you. Move over. No, not that side. The other.
We're not on that side, Warner. For pity's sake, get going.
Is she gagged?
Yes. Poor darling. Isn't that a shame? And her little eyes look so frightened, too. Don't be frightened, Muriel. This is just a lovely little boat ride. You're a very clever girl, Muriel. A little too clever, I'm afraid. Hurry, Warner.
I am. This boat is heavy, don't forget.
Isn't this pleasant, Muriel? Your poor dear aunt thought so, too. A lovely ride, really. And when we get down to the dam, why then, my dear, we'll ask you to go on the rest of the way alone. Oh, dear Warner, do you suppose Muriel will struggle too?
Shut up.
It was really touching, my dear. Poor Mathilda struggled so when we held her under the water. And it was so unnecessary, really. If she hadn't been so difficult about her lovely bracelet. Why, do you know she actually confided to Warner that I was cheating her at cards?
This boat weighs a ton.
And all we wanted was that lovely bracelet, too. I suggested she sell it, you see. After all, she did owe me a great deal of money from our little bridge games. Poor Mathilda was so unlucky.
Unlucky? With those trick glasses you wear?
Oh, perhaps I did cheat a little, Warner, but only to get that lovely bracelet. And she was thinking of selling it, wasn't she, Warner? Isn't it too bad? To think she suddenly suspected me of cheating.
Quiet. I can see the dam.
Poor Muriel. I'm afraid, my dear, the time is drawing near.
On the contrary, Mrs. Haverson, the time has come.
What's that?
Reed!
You can stop rowing, Warner, Reed.
And I'll take that gun, Mrs. Haverson.
Reed! Reed, the gun! It flew right out of my hands.
There's somebody in this boat.
You're right, Warner Reed. There is someone in this boat. The Shadow.
The Shadow!
The Shadow knows Mrs. Haverson. Muriel. Take the gun, Muriel. It's lying there at your feet. Now if you point at Mrs. Haverson, I'm sure she'll undo your gag. Undo it!
Yes, I will.
You murderers!
Cover them, Muriel. Keep them both covered.
Yes, I have.
And now, Warner, you may start rowing again.
Rowing?
To the dam, Warner. I think the police commissioner is waiting for you.
Warner!
Go on, row!
That's right, Muriel. Oh, one more thing. You have the bracelet, Mrs. Haverson?
It's in her purse, Shadow. I saw it when she dropped it. This noon in the lobby. I tried to tell Mr. Cranston, but I was cut off and they...
The Shadow knows, Muriel. Just give the bracelet to the commissioner at the dam. That will complete the story. And now, goodbye.
Shadow, wait! Please, wait!
It's too late, Warner Reed. Goodbye.
He jumped into the river. I heard the splash, but I couldn't see a thing.
No man sees the Shadow, Mrs. Haverson, but the Shadow sees all.
See the lights on the dam, Margot? Muriel must be turning them over to Weston.
Are you dressed, Lamont?
What? Oh, you can turn around now. And thanks to the dry clothes.
Think nothing of it, Lamont. All my boyfriends go for moonlit dips now and then.
They do?
Lamont.
Yes?
You knew it was Mrs. Haverson all along, didn't you?
It wasn't very difficult, Margot. She said she couldn't see a thing without her glasses, and yet she was reading the newspaper without them when we met her this morning.
Say, that's right.
And then when I got a look at those glasses, I was sure. They're tricks, Margot. If you look closely, you can see a special lens at the bottom of the glass.
What?
They're used for reading the back of marked cards. Invisible markings show up when you look at the cards through those glasses. I've seen a dozen of them.
Then she was a card cheat.
Only to lure out bigger game, Margot. She'd get Mathilda's bridge debt up high enough, you see, and then suggest she'll sell the bracelet. Haverson would suggest that she would handle the sale, and of course, once she gets her hands on the bracelet, she'll disappear.
Dry your hair, Lamont.
Her accomplice had me fooled, though. I know she'd need someone to help her if she got Mathilda's body over that dam.
And it was Warner Reed, the desk clerk.
I knew it must have been. When Muriel's phone call was cut off, he was the only one behind the desk at the switchboard. That's how he overheard the call.
Lamont, of course. And Dan Burke was innocent of the whole thing.
And Muriel was covering up for him. I suppose the poor girl wasn't entirely sure he didn't kill her aunt.
The night he came to the hotel.
Yes, only she was dead by that time. Mathilda. Her mistake was confiding in Warner. As soon as she told him she suspected Mrs. Haverson of cheating, she signed her own death warrant.
River of eternal woe.
Cold?
Well,
what?
I could stand an arm around me, Lamont. A big, strong arm.
Will mine do?
Oh, yes, Lamont. Yes, it will.
This story is copyrighted by Street and Smith Publications Incorporated. The characters, names, places, and plot fictitious. Any similarities to anyone living or dead are purely coincidental. Before we end this episode, here is Spencer Mack and his important message. Mr. Spencer Mack.
Thank you, Mr. Rowett. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank everyone and all the voice actors and actresses who participated in this episode. It took a long while for us to actually finish it. Originally it was supposed to air on November 30th, but due to a few technical errors, I wasn't able to upload by then. Thankfully, we were able to upload before the end of the year. Well, unfortunately, I decided that this will be the last episode that I will be voicing for a while now. I recently became a father, and I'd like to help raise my child. The Shadow Recreation series will still continue after I leave. We'll find a new Lamont Cranston and Shadow to voice the role until Season 5, in which I aim to return. But until then, I hope you all have yourself a happy New Year, and a good night, and good morning, and farewell. Until then, the weed of crime bears bitter fruit, for crime does not pay.
The Shadow knows.